Welcome back to the PatsCast. My name is Connor.
I'm Clay.
And I'm Sebastian.
I just wanted to remind everyone that we are recording this episode on March 7th. So any information that is released after this video may be outdated. So this past week in the NFL, big news: J.J. Watt signed a 2-year contract with the Arizona Cardinals to join back with his friend DeAndre Hopkins. And how does this shape the Arizona Cardinals?
Oh, I think they look a lot scarier, I guess, in the edge rush position. But besides that, nah. I mean, I guess to look at it one way, it shows that they want to win now. They're
Mm-hmm.
willing. They're probably going to definitely look at the free agency market and see what they can get. Try and find new weapons and new position groups to fill. So I think we'll see how that turns out. But you got to remember they're in a very, very, very difficult division. Like no question.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think they're definitely going the veteran route. It's interesting to see a team that already has um, that veteran presence in their wide receiver room, and now they're putting it on the defense. I think it's an interesting route to take. I mean, why not just sign Adrian Peterson and have the trio? But I think that they definitely have a shot. I was really rooting for them last season in terms of they haven't been good in a while, and they look like they had the roster for it, and they showed a real good presence, and they're also in the NFC, so I don't have to worry about them in terms of the Patriots. So um, if J.J. Watt is getting them to the place that they want to get to, more power to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. I mean, when healthy, J.J. Watt is um, unarguably like a top five edge rusher, and not only that, he can play any position on the defensive line, kind of like Aaron Donald, and still be talent. So no, just the thought of Watt, Chandler Jones, and Buda Baker being on the same defense is really scary. But like Seb said, they're in arguably the toughest division in the NFL, so we'll see how that turns out. Also, this week, a couple key releases for teams to build up some cap space. Kyle Rudolph is leaving the Vikings. Josh Hill and Jared Cook are leaving the Saints. And then some players like Golden Tate are leaving the Giants. So a bunch of offensive player releases, and that just we'll just see how that shapes the free agency market come 10 days or so from now. This episode is going to be focused on a mock draft, and I know, we specialize with everything New England Patriots, but we want to do something a little fun and do an entire mock draft of the first round of the 2021 NFL Draft, and highlight some trades, and just do a little coverage on each selection. Without further ado, let's begin. So, yeah, the first overall pick, I have the Jaguars selecting Trevor Lawrence. This is an obvious pick here. Um, Jacksonville won the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. Trevor Lawrence has, arguably been the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. So, this will um, undoubtedly help the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, big man, big hair, big dreams. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting, of course, Trevor Lawrence. Um, I really hope that he takes the Jaguars and he brings them home. But as again, we are a Patriots podcast. I'm going to be a little bit cynical. I don't think that Trevor Lawrence is, I think he's going to be more of a Joe Burrow than he is going to be that guy who's going to take and lead the team to a Super Bowl or something crazy, and or even a playoff appearance in his rookie year. I mean, it's possible, but I think at the end of the day, with the way that, even though they have a lot of cap space, the way the Jaguars are adjusted right now, a new head coach right out of a college system, never coached in the NFL. Um, I think this is going to be more like the Cardinals than anything else. So we'll see. Trevor Lawrence is going to be fantastic in the NFL, um, and it's a pretty obvious pick. So why not? Why dwell on it? Trevor Lawrence, he's going first. Congrats to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the only thing that I'd add is I think I'm more curious to see what happens to Gardner Minshew at this point, to be honest, because I think, yeah, no question, they're going with Trevor Lawrence, but I think Minshew still has a lot to prove, and I'm curious to see where he ends up and if he plays a backup role or he can maybe get a starting job somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I really want to see Minshew get traded to a team that will utilize him a lot more. So maybe that'll be the
Yeah.
Patriots. Who knows?
Well,
But
everybody's been calling him. Everybody's been calling him like the heir to the journeyman quarterback. We got to see him take a journey first. So I'm actually looking forward to this.
mm-hmm. So yeah, all three of us agree that Trevor Lawrence is going at number one. Now here's when things get interesting. I am still in strong belief that Deshaun Watson will be traded to a team this offseason. And that team, to me, is going to be the New York Jets. And I think the Jets are going to give away at least 3 first-round picks and Sam Darnold and, some change. But, yeah, Houston's definitely going to get the I have Houston getting the number 2 pick right here and selecting Zach Wilson at number 2. Zach Wilson throughout the year has proved that he is a top 3 quarterback in this draft. I personally put him higher than Justin Fields, but yeah, no, I have Zach Wilson going at number 2 quarterback out of BYU.
Yep. I don't have that trade going on. As much as the Deshaun Watson trade, the more I think about it, the more I think that he'd do a fantastic job. He'd be a great fit on the Panthers, another NFC team. Not in our division. But that's not that. I'm thinking football brain here. I'm not thinking Patriots brain here. It's a tough trade, and that's a different subject for a different video. My pick, I have the New York Jets taking Zach Wilson. He's been compared, dare I say, to Patrick Mahomes. I think that he could really take the Jets and bring them into this new era of mobile quarterback, contortionist, crazy, making nuts throws quarterback, NFL. And Sam Darnold is a real athlete, and I think that he'll definitely be able to flourish starting or maybe a backup on a team for a couple years. But he has some talent, but I think at the end of the day, from what I've seen, they're taking the challenge. They're taking Zach Wilson. I think that the Jets next year are going to be in for something interesting, and I'm excited to see, or a little bit scared to see what their new head coach has in store, because I've heard great things about him, and as a matter of fact, I think he's proven himself quite well over the past couple of years. So Zach Wilson going second for me.
Yeah, I'm going to ditto that. I think definitely Zach Wilson at the slot. I'm more in agreement with Clay that I think the Jets are still going to be here. I assume there's a good chance Rashaan Watson gets chopped, but I'll be honest, I don't know where. I don't want to even pretend I can predict that. So I'm instead going to have the Jets take Zach Wilson. My only fret is there are a lot of similarities between Zach Wilson and how Sam Darnold looked coming out of college, but I do think with a better coaching staff that the Jets have now, I have a lot more higher hopes for him in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, at number 3, I just want to note, the Miami Dolphins totally finessed the Houston Texans right here. The Dolphins were a borderline playoff team this season, and yet they have the number 3 pick in the draft because of the Laramie Tunsil trade that happened 2 years ago. But yeah, with this pick, I have the Alabama relationship between Tua and Devonta Smith coming to Miami, and yeah, I have Devonta Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner this year, going to Miami at number 3.
I'm going to ditto that. I know that Jamar Chase is probably the best wide receiver in this class. However, he did opt out. We don't know how he would have performed this season, and I think at the end of the day, the Dolphins, being a team that, as you mentioned, have gotten really good with their management staff, really good with their head coaching staff. Flores has possibly shown that the Belichick pedigree of coaches could actually succeed. And I think that they're going to go with, he won the Heisman. He proved himself this season. And what else are you looking for? Honestly, if you're the Dolphins and you don't have a lot of targets, you don't have a lot of really solid wideouts right now, what else do you want? Devonta Smith. Just do it. Just make some good football.
Mm.
Now, I'll tell you, Clay, what else I want. I want a wide receiver that respects my quarterback, which is why I am actually going with Jamar Chase, because he's the only wide receiver that hasn't said Mac Jones is better than Tua. So I think that might have a little influence. In the long run, probably not. I just still think that Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in the draft, and I still think he needs to go number 3.
Mm.
I don't think the Dolphins will be making a mistake at that. I think that he's got a lot of speed, a lot of potential. He's just all-out athlete.
Yeah, yeah, I see that. With Chase and Smith, it's really 1A and 1B. Both are very talented. There's concerns about Smith being too undersized. At 6 feet, he's only about 185 pounds, which is, not what necessarily what you want to see out of an NFL receiver. But who knows? He's proved that he is a great receiver. But yeah. Okay, so at pick 4, initially this is the Atlanta Falcons pick, but I have Philly trading up for number 4 and selecting Justin Fields, quarterback out of Ohio State. I don't believe that Jalen Hurts is the answer in Philadelphia. Yes, he showed some highlights this year. He showed some potential, some ceiling, but with Philly having so many, holes that they need to fill, including the quarterback position, I think the best thing that they should do is trade up and select a talented quarterback in Justin Fields, who, has shown that he's mobile, that he's accurate, he has an arm, he kind of reminds me of Deshaun Watson, but, I don't want to make that comparison now. But yeah, no, I have Philly trading up for 4 and drafting Justin Fields.
So I think that Atlanta has a lot they can do with this pick. I've seen a lot of different players coming out of this pick. And there are definitely positions that they need to fill. But I think at the end of the day, they have their wide receiver 1 in Calvin Ridley. In terms of defensive players, they have a lot to go, but I think that this is a really early pick in the draft. And the way that their team is right now, they have a new head coach. They're going to try to turn things around. They finally got rid of, the guy who essentially cursed their franchise with the Super Bowl against the Patriots. And they kept him around, which was crazy. But this is a fresh start, and I think with a fresh start, obviously they're gonna keep going with Matty Ice. But I think they're going to pull a Packers, and they're going to go for Justin Fields, and they're going to have him sit behind him. I know he's not the project quarterback, and I know that people have Trey Lance going there. But I think at the end of the day, they're going to go with the safe option. They're going to go with the consistent option, and they're going to go with the option that is going to net them the most gain, the most bang for their buck. Because Justin Fields, out of the quarterbacks that remain in this draft, has the biggest potential of becoming a NFL quality starter pretty soon, pretty quickly. He's not as much of a project as Trey Lance. I think he's going to the Falcons. I think they're sticking with the safe pick here, taking a quarterback the way that the league is shifted towards a quarterback heavy market.
Okay. Well, I don't have them trading, and I don't have them taking a quarterback. And there's 2 reasons there. I think that, 1, it would be great to get some fresh young talent in there. So I think 100% they got to take advantage of this pick when they have it. But 2, I don't think it's Matt Ryan's fault. I think that if you replace him with another quarterback, I just think that's outrageous. I think he is one of the few things on this team that is really keeping it straight. And I also want to add, I was surprised, Clay, you said Calvin Ridley, QB or wide receiver number 1, and not Julio Jones. But hey, I mean, Calvin Ridley certainly had a breakout year, which is why I think don't go wide receiver. Sure. In fact, I don't even say don't even go offense. I'm actually reaching a little bit and taking Gregory Rousseau, the best edge rusher in the draft, and definitely what I think the Falcons could use the most of. Someone explosive on defense who isn't going to cost them the game in the long run. There's so many times where, as you've said, they've lost late leads, and I think a strong defense is definitely the start to rectifying that, and I don't think the offense is the problem.
No, I was saying Ridley is for the future. I'm thinking about the future.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, though.
Okay, so That's pick number 4. Next, at 5, I also think this is, you know, a pick that all three of us will agree with, but I'm not sure. At 5, I have Cincinnati picking Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell has arguably been um, the best tackle prospect since Trent Williams in 2011. I think Penei Sewell is going to do great things for whichever team he lands on, but Cincinnati is the team that needs O-line help the most. So why not grab the best prospect at the position and you know grab a superstar generational talent at tackle.
100%, and I agree with you. There's not much more to be said. He's a fantastic player. I think we all want to see what Joe Burrow can do for a full season, and having to watch players get beat up and sent off the field is heartbreaking. And anything that we can do to stop that is good. And Sewell can stop that. So do it, Bengals. Do it.
Yep, I'm unanimous too. I think that Sewell is the obvious choice here. I think, one, the Bengals have always struggled with that O-line. So, I mean, if you can get the best prospect in a long time, especially after your QB just took a really bad hit last season, I just think it's a no-brainer. I think, no question, Penei Sewell, number 5.
Hmm. Okay. So, like I said before, I had Philly and Atlanta trading with one another for the number 4 and number 6 pick. Clay, or not Clay, Seb, you mentioned that you believe that Gregory Rousseau is the best edge rusher in the draft. I have to respectfully disagree with you, and I have the Falcons drafting Kwity Paye at number 6. This is a big reach, but I really think Kwity Paye is a great player at his position. He has shown that he is very versatile across the line, which is something, defensive players in, this phase of the NFL are great at. Yeah, like I stated earlier, players like J.J. Watt and Aaron Donald, two of the best edge rushers in the league, can play any position on the line and be a superstar. And Kwity Paye, at his time at Michigan, senior at Michigan, has, especially this season, shown that he can play across the defensive line. He can be a versatile player. And I think, Grady Jarrett is a great player for the Atlanta Falcons, but, adding another edge rusher in there might help. So, yeah, I think, a good pick here for the Atlanta Falcons is Kwity Paye. That's like probably my personally my biggest reach in this mock draft is Kwity Paye at number 6 to the Falcons.
So I have a little bit more of a safe pick here since it's Philadelphia. I don't think they're going to take a wide receiver again, even though they could probably use one. However, they kind of are. I have them taking Kyle Pitts. He's too good of a tight end prospect to go a little later or drop. As much as I'd love to see him on the New England Patriots, I think that if you're the Philadelphia Eagles right now and you're having this difficulty with quarterback, I think that you're also seeing that guys like Ertz are probably not going to be there next season, who have been there for a long time. Who else do they have? Richard Rodgers. And I think Richard Rodgers is going to be a free agent next season too. So your tight end room is looking pretty barren if you're the Eagles. And instead of having a barren tight end room and rolling the dice on another wide receiver, why not take somebody who's going to be consistent, who's going to deliver, and whoever you have a quarterback is going to have a consistent big man target who's going to tear things up, because Kyle Pitts is ridiculous. He's the kind of tight end that we're definitely seeing in the league now, and I don't think that there's anybody like him right now. So he's going to make for some good football. I think the Eagles could use him. I have them taking Kyle Pitts.
Okay, so I obviously still have the Eagles here as well. And I'm actually going to disagree with you because you're forgetting one big name. You didn't even mention Dallas Goedert, who's already a great tight end prospect, a young guy for the Eagles, who I think more than well fits the role of Ertz in this scenario. He already upshowed him this year, and I think he will continue to do so for the future, which is why I have the Eagles yet again going for a wide receiver. But this time I think they finally hit when they take at number 6, Devonta Smith. We've already spoken so much about Heisman winner, great prospect. And I mean, I almost feel like 6 is too low for him, but I just think it's the way it works out this year. I think they get an absolute steal at wide receiver.
I like both of your picks here. I've seen many mock drafts where Pitts has landed in Philly, and I think Pitts can really play. You know, Maybe he can be a Darren Waller and come in at one position or come into the league at one position and transfer to another. Maybe he can play wide receiver. Or maybe he'll stick at tight end. And like I said, there are doubts that Devonta Smith may be undersized, so maybe he does fall. But at the end of the day, Philly drafting a Heisman winner at 6 is a steal. So I agree with I like both your picks here. Okay, at number 7, the Detroit Lions. I have them selecting Jamar Chase at number 7. I think it's pretty evident that Kenny Galladay is going to be leaving the team, as well as Marvin Jones. So they're in deep need for a talented wide receiver, a number 1 receiver in that offense. And I feel like Jamar Chase fits that role. Jamar Chase, if I were to give an NFL comparison, I'd compare him to Amari Cooper, about the same height as one another, same size. I believe that both of them have strong route running ability, as well as the ability to, catch really contested passes in tight coverage. So, I have Detroit picking Jamar Chase at number 7, wide receiver out of LSU.
Yep, I have the same thing. Jamar Chase is a fantastic wide receiver. As I said earlier, he's probably the best wide receiver in this draft class. He's going to do great things. I really hope Detroit turns it around and gives him the platform and the ability to do great things. I guess give Goff some targets. Jamar Chase.
Well, obviously, I do not have Jamar Chase, as I had him go at number 3. I actually have them going defense and taking Micah Parsons, who I think is by far the best linebacker prospect from the draft. And I think when you look at the Lions right now, their defense is definitely one of the areas that need a lot of work. I mean, we don't know exactly how free agency is going to go for them in terms of their wide receiver department. It looks like they could lose a lot of different assets there, but looking past that, I think their defense needs a lot of work. And I think a linebacker to go with Jamie Collins would be a great choice. And I think Micah Parsons has already shown that he is the best linebacker prospect in the draft by far. So I think it's a bit of a no-brainer at that situation if that's what they're aiming for defensively. But I think that's definitely a safe choice for them, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like both your picks. At number 8, they're the Carolina Panthers. I have the Carolina Panthers selecting Trey Lance at number 8. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is the answer in Carolina. He's very injury prone. I love the guy, and I wish him the best in his career. But Trey Lance has proven he is a playmaker. He's mobile. He has an arm. Accuracy is still an issue, but he is, I'd say this in the second tier of quarterback prospects this year. But like I said, he's a playmaker, so add him in an offense of other playmakers with McCaffrey, Moore, and Robbie Anderson, and let's see some firepower.
Absolutely, and I am agreeing with you yet again, Connor. Trey Lance is going to go. I'm a little bit concerned about him in the NFL, and I hope that Bridgewater stays for another year. I know that there's some sort of controversy. He, I think, unfollowed. There's something going on. There's some speculation. But I think Trey Lance needs a guy to sit behind. He reminds me a little bit of Love in that sense. So he could start. I don't know if that'd be a good idea, but I have the Panthers picking him because they need a quarterback, and he's a good quarterback. So, that's that.
I'm going to agree with everything you've just said, except I still have Justin Fields sitting around, so I think he fits even better in that department. I think he would be great under Bridgewater, sit behind him for a year. And I think, it's a no-brainer. They're going to want to take a quarterback this year. I think we all kind of agreed upon that. It's the one thing they're missing from being an absolute powerhouse. And I think Justin Fields would be the perfect model of a dual-threat quarterback for the Panthers. I think it's a great choice for them. And I think he'll definitely elevate their offense to the next level, or maybe even a playoff team. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. No, I like both your picks. I still I forgot that Justin Fields was still on your draft board, Seb. So yeah, him going to Carolina is really interesting. I like that pick. Okay, so for pick 9, spoiler, pick 9 and 10 for me are at the same position, and I believe that these guys are really 1A and 1B. Both have shown that they're really talented. But I think it really comes down to play time. One of these players, which is at pick 10, not 9, decided to opt out this season. But both these teams are in need of cornerback help, and I have the Denver Broncos selecting Patrick Surtain, the second, out of Alabama, at number 9. Losing Chris Harris and having him go to the Chargers has really hurt the Denver Broncos secondary. You still have a superstar in Justin Simmons, who just signed a franchise tag, but Bryce Callahan at the slot has really carried that Broncos secondary. So having a guy like Surtain that can play in the slot but also can play on the outside would really help Denver's secondary into becoming semi-elite.
We didn't plan this, but yet again, Patrick Surtain II for me is going for the Denver Broncos. Same reason, similar reasoning with Connor. I watched some tape on him. He's a really good cornerback. He gets physical. He is really, really good with man-to-man coverage. And I think he's really going to elevate the Broncos defense to something of a dark horse to possibly one of the leaders in the NFL, especially with Von Miller, especially with Von Miller, hopefully coming back for next season.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I think that you're both 100% correct, because I also have Patrick Surtain going right here, and I think it's a great fit, a match made in heaven. And I personally I think this is one of those picks that is almost 100% certain to happen at this point. I think the Broncos aren't exactly... Drew Lock is a little iffy. I don't know if I love going with him still, but I think that their defense needs work before their QB room does. I think at this point in the draft, I think they're not going to get that QB help they really desire. So I think Patrick Surtain is the obvious choice.
Mm-hmm. And so that's number 9, the Denver Broncos pick. At number 10, this is where Dallas is. Like I said before, I have a cornerback going here too, and that cornerback is Caleb Farley, cornerback out of Virginia Tech. He decided to opt out this season, and that was the main reason. I wouldn't say the main reason, but that was one of the bigger reasons to why, I have him going second. I still believe that even if Caleb Farley played, I'd say that Patrick Surtain, after what he's shown this season, is the better corner, but Caleb Farley is also incredibly talented. He has shown that he's kind of a ball hawk at the cornerback position, and Dallas really needs a cornerback after losing Byron Jones, and they have a very depleted secondary, so adding a guy like Caleb Farley would truly help.
Yeah, as much as I'd love to make the Kendall Hinton situation comparison, Caleb Farley played, I believe, quarterback, and then wide receiver, and then cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
So the Broncos might have some interest in, just getting people who are secretly quarterbacks. But Caleb Farley, for me, he's a little bit more of a toolkit. I think that Dallas right now is looking for the best possible defensive option that they can get, especially at cornerback. And I think that he is the best cornerback on the board right now with my situation. So they're going to go with Caleb Farley for similar reasoning to what Connor said.
Yeah, and that marks 2 in a row for all of us. I also had Caleb Farley going here. I think another situation where they want Patrick Surtain, he's going to go right before them, get the second best guy, Caleb Farley, and I think that they'll still be happy with that pick in the long term.
Okay. At number 11, this is the Giants pick, but I have the Giants trading with the New England Patriots. The Patriots at number 11 will select Kyle Pitts. This might be kind of a biased pick for me, but um, you know, I really think Evan Engram isn't the answer in New York, but New York has a lot of other holes. The Giants, I should specify, the Giants have a lot of other roles or holes that they need to fill, and I don't think it will affect them too much if they trade 4 picks down and still get an elite player. But you know, the Patriots, we've said it before, they really need help on offense, and Kyle Pitts is going to help them tremendously. He is, by far the best tight end prospect we've seen in at least a decade. But yeah, I have Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida, coming to New England.
I wouldn't replace a Pro Bowler, Connor. I have the New York Giants selecting Jalen Waddle, wide receiver. He's very fast, especially after just dropping Golden Tate. I think the Giants need this pick, and I think that the best thing that they could possibly do is give Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, some more targets because they really need him to work. They really need him to work. And if he doesn't work, he's out. And they're in the same position as like the Jets. So Eli Manning too is going to need his receiver, and I think Jalen Waddle is far and away a fantastic wide receiver. The wide receiver class in this draft is really very good and very deep. I have them taking Jalen Waddle. I think they need some presence at the wideout position. I think they need to spark up this offense, and with his speed, I think that he could definitely 100% spark up the Giants.
I agree. I think Eli Manning too needs his OBJ too, and that's why I think Jalen Waddle is the best situation right there for the Giants. I think that they definitely could work on some wide receiver help now, but since, like you just said, now they've moved on. It's kind of the situation where they've lost that veteran presence, so let's get in a fast new rookie, someone who will really spice off the offense, give us a new look, a fast hitter. And I think Jalen Waddle, boom, fits that to a T.
All right, that's number 11. On to pick 12. This is the San Francisco 49ers. Trent Williams is an impending free agent. He's a big question mark on whether or not, or there's a big question mark on whether or not the 49ers are going to re-sign him. But, with that said, there have been rumors about the San Francisco 49ers drafting a quarterback here at 12. There are still names like Mac Jones on the board, but, realistically, I don't see Trent Williams staying in San Francisco. So, or I shouldn't say realistically because, it hasn't happened yet. But I have the San Francisco 49ers picking Rashaan Slater, tackle out of Northeastern, here at 12, who is the second best tackle prospect in this draft, in my opinion.
So I definitely agree that the 49ers need some things. But if you are the 49ers, the thing that they like to do is have a very good defense. And I think the thing that they could do to immediately make this defense better than it already is to draft Jace Horn, a cornerback. And I know they're thinking about quarterbacks, they're thinking about possibly some sort of an edge rusher. They're thinking about some sort of a possibility of a offensive lineman. But I think that getting a playmaker like Jace Horn, someone who can really amp up and add even more youthful energy to the defense, is just going to benefit them in the long run. Last draft they went offensive, and their offense is good, their offense is deep, but I think they need to have that same depth in their defense, and I think that Jace Horn is definitely going to do that. He's a really good prospect, and I'm definitely sure that whatever the 49ers take here at the 12th pick, it's just gravy because they're a great team, and they ended up getting a lot of injuries, which is tragic. But I think that add the depth to the defense, it's going to be smooth sailing.
Well, you know what, Clay? I think this is 4 in a row for us here. I also have J.C. Horn going there, and I think obviously the 49ers want Patrick Surtain. They want Caleb Farley, but I still don't think they're upset to take J.C. Horn here. I think that he's still a great prospect out of South Carolina. I don't think there's much controversy there. I think he will certainly help make a great defense even better. And I think while there's still a question at quarterback, I think Jimmy Garoppolo, bit of a spoiler for my theories going on into the offseason, but I think he's going to stay. I think they're just too good with him to want to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm. All right. At number 13, we have the Chargers, and I have them selecting Christian Barmore, the best defensive tackle prospect in this draft out of Alabama. With an already pretty solid D-line with Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa, why not make it even better and add a dynamic player like Christian Barmore down the middle and create more pressure on other offensive lines in the league?
So I think the Chargers have a fantastic new quarterback. He's not injured, so keep it that way. And draft Rashaan Slater, as Connor said, the second best offensive tackle prospect in the draft on a Northeastern. He's very good, and I don't want Herbert to get hurt. And they just had a veteran player on the offensive line retire, so keep it coming. This team should have been good last season, but keep making those good draft picks. The management has been oddly good, so I would say if they take Rashaan Slater, it'd be a home run draft pick here, and we would have many more years of wonderful, wonderful Herbert.
Yeah, that makes it 5 in a row now, Clay. Yeah, I think Rashaan Slater out of Northwestern is definitely the choice here. I think all your points you just provided are great. I think the main thing to look at is, who else do you take here? I mean, are you going to take an offensive weapon? No, we got plenty of those. You're going to take a quarterback? No question. You got yours as a future for a while. How about defense? Well, I mean, there's been a lot of defensive picks going up until now, so it's not going to be a great choice of your pick to use one on defense here. Probably a reach. So I think, take an offensive tackle right here is a great choice. I think Rashaan Slater definitely fits that kind of mold of the right tackle for that kind of scheme that the Chargers are currently running. So I think that's definitely the pick for them.
Mm-hmm. So both of you guys agreed on Rashaan Slater, who is, at tackle. And, at 14, I have the Minnesota Vikings also drafting a tackle at Christian Darrisaw, tackle out of Virginia Tech. I believe that he will make the switch to guard in an offense like Minnesota. He was deciding on whether or not he should stay or leave, opt out for the 2020 season at Virginia Tech. He ended up staying because he was promised he would play more tackle, and I think that was the best decision for him because that gives teams, without having to scout or anything, without a combine, more of an idea of what to do with him, and teams love those versatile players that they can just squeeze in at many positions. So, Christian Barmore has shown that he is good at both guard and tackle. Or not Christian Barmore, Christian Darrisaw. I'm going back-to-back Christians here. But yeah, at 14 I have the Vikings selecting Christian Darrisaw to squeeze at guard.
So I know you've been religious with these picks, but I'm going to be a little bit sacrilegious and go off the script. I think that the Vikings, and we know that the Vikings need defensive help. and this is a little bit out of left field, but I think that they should take Trayvon Moehrig, a safety out of TCU. He is a playmaker. I'm a big fan of Good Morning Football, and they have been hyping him up. I think he's the best safety in the draft by far. I watched some tape on him. He's physical. He's mean. He is really going to amp up the defense, and I think he's one of those players who could really take kind of the bare bones that they have in Minnesota and just start making plays on defense, which is what they need. And I know it's a little odd. I know this draft is full of really, high-level athletic talent. But at the end of the day, I think Trayvon Moehrig should be up there. I honestly think that that's the pick for the Minnesota Vikings, and I think that he's going to be the guy who brings that defense up a notch.
Wow. So I got to say two things first. And I think one is right off the bat, as Patriots fans, this is the pick we're gonna watch here because, one, if someone wants to skip right ahead of us, this is where they're going to go for. Two, this is like the last chance. Like, this is the last pick before ours. What could happen here? Which I'll get into that in a second. It ain't good for us. But I also want to point out, as someone whose roommate is a huge Vikings fan, let me tell you, Clay, he claims the defense will be back next year. A lot of injuries to that core defensive group really is what set them back. So I do think that it would be a good choice for them to take defensively. I honestly don't think they will, just because they're really confident in their skill group coming back. Just unfortunate injuries really derailed that group. And I think at this point, who I still have here, is just too much to pass up upon. I think the Vikings can't help themselves, and they'll take Kyle Pitts at 14. He's still here on my draft board. I just don't think he can fall any further, as much as I'd love him to. I think the Vikings will scoop him up, especially now that they've lost Rudolph. I just think it's an easy choice for them. Maybe one that'll come back to bite them in the long term, but I think not in the sense of actual Pitts as a player, because I think he's absolutely great, very explosive, the absolute model tight end you want right now.
To go back to Clay and Trayvon Moehrig, I also have Trayvon Moehrig going in the first round, but not to Minnesota. I have him going to another team. Before the season started, everyone noted him as a second-round talent, but after seeing his explosiveness this season, out of TCU, I have him being a first-round talent, and I kind of imagine I looked at I didn't look at Seb's draft board, but I thought about all the players that he still had, and Kyle Pitts was the top guy, and especially after losing a guy like Kyle Rudolph, is Irv Smith the answer in Minnesota? Me personally, I don't think so, but Seb, I think drafting Pitts at 14 is to Minnesota is a really good selection. So you guys both agreed that New York or the Giants are going to select Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is still on my board, and I had New York trade with New England, and I also agree that Jalen Waddle is going to go to New York, but a little later at 15. Golden Tate, him leaving really changes the offense. Darius Slayton is still a really talented young receiver with a lot of potential. But add a guy who's speedy, who's slippery, who has very light comparisons to Tyreek Hill. Add him to an offense, help Daniel Jones, give him some talent, and just help out that offense and make it even more dangerous.
So, the big pick, number 15, New England. I've looked at a lot of mock drafts, and this guy was on a lot of them, and I questioned it. I go, why would you do this? We need wide receivers. Get a quarterback. And then I looked at this dude's tape, and Micah Parsons is a beast. Micah Parsons will single-handedly take our defense and bring it all the way up. We got cap space. We're going to sign our quarterback. We'll take somebody, Kyle Trask, Mac Jones in the second round. No sweat. But Micah Parsons is first-round talent. And if I could have it the way that it's been for the past couple of years, we're not going to get this high of a pick. We're not going to want to even try to think about trading for this high of a pick. So if I were Belichick, I wouldn't trade down. I would just scoop up the arguably best linebacker, no, not even the best linebacker prospect in the draft, arguably one of the best defensive prospects in this draft. Micah Parsons is a beast. He would kill on the Patriots. He's athletic. He's hardworking. He's a leader. It's a slam dunk pick for the Patriots. Micah Parsons.
All right. So I obviously also have the Patriots pick in here. And I'll say it off the bat that if we can get Micah Parsons, I'd be very happy. I think that, unfortunately, on my draft board, he goes way too early. I think if he were able to follow the Patriots, I think it's a no-brainer. Take the guy. Our linebacker core has looked abysmal right now, especially without Hightower. He'll be coming back, though. Now, who will not be coming back is a quarterback. And I still have one on this draft board who I absolutely love. I know a lot of people are skeptical, but I love Trey Lance out of North Dakota State, and I would love to see him on the Patriots. And here's 2 reasons why. My 2 reasons, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. What do they have in common? Not the great decision-making coming out of college, but they got a hell of an arm. They got a hell of legs. And that raw athleticism is the same raw athleticism I see in Trey Lance. He maybe doesn't have the same discipline as those top quarterbacks in the draft, but I think that's the kind of thing under a coach like Belichick, under a system like Josh McDaniels. Those are the things you teach the guy. Those are the things that with his raw talent, you take to the next level and you get an absolute playmaker at quarterback. And I think taking a quarterback, taking the initiative, taking him now really opens the door to try and build the offense around him the next 2 years. Take those wide receivers, if not this year, next year, the year after that. See what he likes, build around him. Don't try and cram him into an old offense. Try and build around that quarterback. And I think Trey Lance is a model quarterback to do so. And if we can get him here, pick number 15, we would be very lucky.
Those are 2 very money picks at 15 for the New England Patriots. Dante Hightower and Micah Parsons in the same defense sounds scary. But yeah, no, I'm gonna quote Pat McAfee, and if Trey Lance, a young nucleus, goes to a team like the New England Patriots, where Josh McDaniels can mentor him, and utilize that raw talent and shape him into, a generational quarterback, that would be, fantastic. I would love both of those picks at 15 from New England. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I like both of those picks there. Good job. At 16, we have the Arizona Cardinals, and I actually have the Arizona Cardinals trading with the Washington football team. So the Washington football team will take pick 16, and the Cardinals will take pick 19. And at pick 16, I'm just going to say it, Taylor Heineke is not the answer in Washington. I have the Washington football team. I know, it's a tough pill to swallow, but I have the Washington football team selecting Mac Jones at pick 16. Give him a talented, underrated receiver like Terry McLaurin, as well as a guy who really showed potential this season, Logan Thomas, as well as a couple younger receivers. And an O-line that's all right. You have stars like Brendan Sheriff in there, but give Mac Jones, who if you check out our Instagram, I made a post about some of the top prospects that the Patriots already met with him, or already met with. Mac Jones has great football IQ. He's a consistent, accurate thrower. And he has good pocket presence. Kind of reminds you of a guy named Tom Brady, if you ever heard about him. I don't know if you have, but Mac Jones is talented. Bring him to a team like Washington, who just lost Dwayne Haskins to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Have Mac Jones go to a team like Washington, who's a very young, developing team, not only Dwayne Haskins leaving Washington, but Alex Smith recently being released from Washington. I think Washington is really hungry for a quarterback, and I think Mac Jones is a great fit for a team like Washington.
Well, I don't have the Cardinals trading, and I was very much so joking when I was talking about signing Adrian Peterson earlier in the episode. They need a running back. Um, yeah, I'm just going to go out and say it. I think they need a running back. Um, and the best one is Najee Harris. So I haven't taken Harris. Harris is one of my favorite players in this draft. He's ridiculous. His athleticism is insane. I think he has the ability to be one of the best running backs in the league. He's athletic. He physically is everything you want. Kenyon Drake is a little bit of a weird running back, and I see him as more of a secondary guy, to be honest. I know they made a trade for him, but at the end of the day, I think that young talent trumps all, and especially someone like Najee Harris. Oh my God, he will take the Cardinals to a whole nother level. And I think that the Cardinals are trying to be more elite. They're trying to get that elite offense going on, and all they need is an elite running back, and here he is. Take him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm going to actually start by spoiling my number 19 pick because, Connor, I do agree with you. I do think that the Washington football team needs that quarterback, and I think Mac Jones will fit pretty nicely there. On the other hand, though, I don't see them trading up. I think looking at the competition here, you're trading up to beat the Dolphins, the Raiders, and the Cardinals themselves, all of which pretty much have their franchise quarterbacks. So I don't really see the urgency to trade there. On the other hand, I think the Cardinals, I originally really wanted to pick an edge rusher, but now that they have J.J. Watt, I think there's not even a question. I mean, you got that situation down to a T. Now, I think the worst skill group by far on the Cardinals right now is definitely their O-line. That's why I have them taking offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech, Christian Darson. Darsaw, sorry. I just think that he is great prospect, as you mentioned earlier, Connor, when you took him. But I think he falls a little bit right here to number 16, where he goes on a good team that can really, build upon his talents. And I think, Kyler Murray can do a lot of Murray magic, but you need a good O-line to stay in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like both of your picks there. Yeah, I don't know why I had Washington trade with Arizona. I'm looking at my board. I'm looking at my mock draft now, and I feel kind of stupid. But
Well, you never know. I mean, someone else could try and trade up, take advantage of those slots. I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins even trade down. So it's
yeah,
not a terrible choice.
yeah.
You never know.
I mean, I was looking at a lot of mock drafts, and Chicago is another team that may be quarterback hungry, but Washington still has the pick before them. So yeah, that was kind of a stupid trade up. But yeah, I guess we both agree that Mac Jones is going to Washington, but at different times during the first round. At 17 is the Oakland Raiders pick. I still have a guy on my board. His name is Micah Parsons, and I like the idea of Micah Parsons going into a team like Oakland. Or not Oakland. Did I say Oakland? No, I mean the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah, SoFi Stadium, a new branded, not a new branded, but a newly branded team.
Allegiant Stadium. Come on. Don't mix up your new
What?
California, new Las
Oh,
Vegas-based
no.
stadiums.
Shit. All right. Yeah,
Wow.
no, my football knowledge has just went down the toilet there. But yeah, no, Micah Parsons at 17 to the Raiders. The Raiders run a 4-3 defense, meaning 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and they already have a talented guy like Corey Littleton, Raekwon McMillan is there, but I think Micah Parsons is very versatile at the linebacker position. He can play on the inside, he can play on the outside. He's a great tackler, arguably the best tackler in this draft. He's pretty good in coverage, so any team would like that as well. But yeah, no, I think because he's fell so far in my draft, I think it's appropriate that he goes to a team that needs improvement defensively. I know, the Raiders, there are a lot of question marks. They don't have a real, star guy since Khalil Mack, but he's in Chicago now. But Yeah, no, slap Micah Parsons in at inside linebacker, and I think you got a pretty good defense.
Right. Las Vegas. I have Las Vegas selecting Gregory Rousseau. He dropped 100% in my mock draft here, and you got to snap him up. He's been spoken about earlier. He's a fantastic edge rusher. He's going to immediately add a little zest, a little spice to that defense that they greatly need. And if he's there, at pick number 17, you take Gregory Rousseau.
Clay, I'm pretty much in agreement with you in the sense that that defense could use a little bit of work, especially in that front section. That's why I went D tackle here, and I went out of Alabama, Christian Barmore, who I still have on this list, and I think would certainly be a great prospect. The Raiders are kind of known as a more aggressive team, so I think getting a real rough defensive tackle like that is a great look for them. It just really fits their culture, even, to add that in there. And I think that he, for certain, can help improve that defense a little bit, who I think could definitely use a little bit of work when it comes to getting to the quarterback, putting pressure. And I think Barmore's a great way to do it.
All right. So that's 17, the Raiders. At number 18, this is the Dolphins' actual pick this year. I have them selecting a tackle, Elijah Vera Tucker, out of USC. I believe that's USC. I'm looking at the logo right now. Yeah, no, he's okay. Cool. He is, in my opinion, the third best tackle in here. The Dolphins landed somewhat of a gem last season with Austin Jackson, who, analysts thought was a poor selection, but it actually kind of worked out. But yeah, no, I think the Dolphins really need to beef up that O-line, give Tua a little bit more help, and newly selected wide receiver off of my mock draft, Devonta Smith. So beef up that O-line and make Miami even more dangerous.
I have Miami selecting another person that has dropped a little bit too far, Christian Darrisaw. He is just, sprinkles on top, beefing up that defense, and he's a fantastic player. So those guys, if he's there, especially at number 18, you take him.
No, I think at number 18, the Dolphins are looking to do something a little more flashy. And I think especially with who I still have here, I think this is a great pick for them. I think that unanimously a lot of people agree to pick Najee Harris, number 18 for the Dolphins. A lot of times I'm very skeptical about picking a running back early. I think they're going to be just as good in the third round as they are in the first. But I think Najee Harris is one of those guys who really challenges that narrative, especially when you have 2 first-round picks like this. I think he'd be a great addition to Miami. That was the one area I think they could really have improved upon offense, is their running back core was kind of a lot of rookies in that position group or older veterans who weren't as, talented per se. And I think Najee Harris come in there and just absolutely wipe the floor, be an absolute beast for that team. And honestly, it scares me to see the Dolphins having all these good picks, But, we'll see how it goes. But I think Najee Harris, great pick for the Dolphins.
What about Myles Gaskin? He's returning next year.
He's fine. I don't mind Myles Gaskin.
Yeah, no, Najee Harris is leagues above
exactly.
Myles Gaskin. All right. I heard a little there, Clay. You want to expand upon it?
He performed. At the end of the day, are you going to go for well, yeah, you are. But I think that if he's not available, they could take, I don't know, Etienne in that slice. But I think that in terms of running backs, it's not their biggest concern right now.
And I get that. I thought process mostly is, with Tua being the way that he is, still a question mark. I think taking as much pressure off him as possible is really good. That's why I think, one, like you said, either take a tackle, someone on the O-line, or B, take someone who's a running back who can hand the ball off more, take that pressure off him, put it on other sectors of the offense.
Okay. Number 19, I stated earlier that I had Arizona and Washington trade. At the end of the day, it was kind of stupid because, like, you know, both of these teams might have just drafted the same guy if they didn't trade. But at number 19, I have the Cardinals selecting Jace Horn, cornerback out of, I think that's South or Carolina. Yeah, some Carolina. Jace
South
Horn,
Carolina. Yeah.
yeah, South Carolina. Uh, the logo looked like Stephon Gilmore's college, which was also South Carolina. But yeah, Pat Pete is going to most likely, or Patrick Peterson, Patrick Peterson, is most likely going to become a free agent this offseason, and you know, Arizona could use a guy to tag team with Byron Murphy, who showed that he's underrated. He's kind of a stud, and I believe that Byron Murphy can be a number one corner one day. He'll develop even further, but add a young guy like Jace Horn in there, and you'll already add to a very stacked offense with newly acquired free agent signing J.J. Watt.
All right. So I believe that the Washington football team here needs some help on the offensive tackle, and so they're going to take Wyatt Davis.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just the best offensive tackle that exists in the draft up to this point. Whoever they're going to have a quarterback, they need protection, especially considering how quarterback last season was Alex Smith. When he went on the field, what happened? We all know. He immediately got Aaron Donalded. We don't want that to happen. So, offensive tackle. Enough said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I certainly like Wyatt Davis. I see him more as a guard, so I don't love him in that tackle role as much. But I think, like I mentioned earlier, already spoiled it. I think Mac Jones will go here. I don't necessarily think, I mean, it's hard to evaluate him based on how talented Alabama is, so I don't necessarily think he's maybe a first-round quarterback. I just think that Washington's willing to reach a little to get their guy for the future. And I think he's the kind of guy who he's proven he could perform with weapons, and I think Washington's certainly building a nice team over there with Terry McLaurin, as well as how stacked their defense is now. So I think he can nicely fit into that scheme, and I think he can become good enough to take them to the playoffs and be that kind of, position group for now.
Mm-hmm. All right. At number 20, we have the Chicago Bears. Quarterback is a big question mark there, but Seb and I already had Mac Jones selected to Washington, and I believe if Washington doesn't end up going with Mac Jones, then Chicago will end up with him. But this is my mock draft, and I run the rules, so I believe that Alex Leatherwood, tackle out of Alabama, is pretty solid. He'll go to a team that hasn't really had a prominent offensive line. There are highlights like James Daniels, who plays guard, really young guy who's developed very well. But add a guy like Alex Leatherwood, who's my fourth ranked tackle, to an offense that could use it. That'd be a great selection at number 20.
Okay. All right. I see the Chicago Bears taking, in addition to their defense, oh God, they need defense. And it's Kwity Paye. He dropped. They take him. Simple as that. If you get a good edge rusher, you're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, you're doing good. We've talked about Kwity Paye. He's an athlete. He's a fantastic edge rusher. And this deep in the draft, if you're getting a really good edge rusher, you're going to take him.
I like the Bears' defense right now. I'm not too strong to get a new guy in there. I agree they aren't great, but they've certainly not been terrible. I think their middle linebacker core has just been, fairly well, especially compared to a lot of other teams. But I think I agree with Connor on taking an offensive tackle. I still have Elijah Vera Tucker here, so I think this is where he goes. I think they definitely could use some better kind of O-line. Like, they have a lot of young prospects, but they don't have a lot of proven prospects. So I think taking another one to add into that mix would certainly help, especially with where I think I would pray if the Bears want to succeed, they go for someone in free agency at quarterback. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, no, and I forgot to mention the Bears, especially last season. I think the only reason they really made it to the playoffs is because of that defense. So if you're gonna settle on being a defensive team, at least with young players and with players that you're drafting, I think that the smart choice is to just double down on the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Good point.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with Seb. I think the defense right now is pretty solid. I like the if a guy like Kwity Paye falls to Chicago at number 20, that'd be a great selection. I just think there's a lot of uncertainties on the offense with Allen Robinson becoming a free agent, with Mitch Trubisky becoming a free agent. Um, you know, I just think if Mac Jones isn't selected by Washington at number um, 19 or at 16 in my draft, I think the best thing they Chicago should do is beef up that O line. But that's number 20. At number 21, this is the Indianapolis Colts pick. Um, Colts figured out their QB situation, I think, with trading for Carson Wentz. They took a big hit in their salary cap because of that. They were, I think, at one point the leaders when it came to cap space, but like I said, Wentz's contract took a big hit, or made their cap space take a big hit. So, but yeah, I think that their defense is already pretty solid. With DeForest Buckner, who was traded last season from the 49ers, being a great D tackle, with Darius Leonard being, a good inside linebacker. But I have Indy choosing Jason Owe, edge rusher out of Penn State. Really underrated guy. He's on the bigger side, but he's really speedy, and I think the Colts could use someone like him just to join DeForest Buckner on the D line and add pressure to opposing offenses.
Yep. So, in the interest of time, I'm going to speed things up just a little bit. I think that obviously increasing the power of that defense that's already super powerful, going on what I said with the Bears, I have them taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He's a fantastic linebacker. I think he's going to beef up their defense, which is what they need.
And I agree, defense is the way to go, but I still have Kwity Paye here, and I don't see him going any further. So I think a great edge rusher, and why not take him at this point? And I think definitely a playoff team right there. Those Colts, they're looking good.
Mm-hmm. All right, so to speed things up, we still have 10 picks left. 11. Speed round. So at number 22, I have the Tennessee Titans selecting Gregory Rousseau, edge rusher out of Miami.
I have an edge rusher too, except he's Jalen Phillips.
Let's say 3 edge rushers, none the same. I have Azeez Ojulari.
At number 23, the New York Jets, I have them selecting Jalen Phillips, edge rusher out of Miami.
I think that they need that wide receiver. Maybe Crowder's not their man. I have Rashad Bateman, wide receiver.
Clay, I got the exact same thing. I completely agree with you.
At number 24, Pittsburgh Steelers, I have them selecting Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama.
I know they have concerns with the running back position, but I think they also, with one of Big Ben's, who's coming back, friends, retiring, another veteran, they need offensive line. I like Tevin Jenkins here. He's kind of a middle-of-the-road guy, but he'll get it done.
I like both of those, but I'm actually going to go on the defensive side here, and I'm going to go and fill in position group they don't have a lot of depth at, and that's the linebacker core, which I'm going to take Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, which combined with Watt, I think is just a great team right there.
Mm-hmm. At 25, Jacksonville Jaguars, I have them selecting Trayvon Moehrig, safety out of TCU.
Oh, yeah. I have them taking an offensive tackle here, Jalen Mayfield. Protect your guy. That's usually how it goes.
I agree, offensive tackle, but I got Samuel Cosme.
At 26, the Cleveland Browns, I have them selecting Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. They're pretty good with pass rush and run stopping in general, but they don't have a good linebacker to help with coverage and stuff like that.
I agree with the linebacker, except Zaven Collins, because Jeremiah is no longer there.
I'm actually going to try and beef up their cornerback room a little more, and I'm actually going to take Ifoto Melifonwu, who I think is a great prospect out of Syracuse, and I think with Ward as well as Williams, you're kind of looking for a little more info on that kind of cornerback position.
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous.
27, I have the Baltimore Ravens selecting Rashad Bateman, wide receiver out of Minnesota. Quite arguably the most underrated wide receiver prospect in this draft, and Baltimore needs a receiver.
Yes, they do, except I think it's Kadarius Toney, who another underrated wide receiver out of Florida.
I actually have them trying to bolster their O-line after they're going to lose, I think, to free agency this year. So I think they're going with Jalen Mayfield, who I think is a steal at this point at 27.
At 28, this is the New Orleans Saints pick. I have them selecting Kyle Trask, quarterback out of Florida. Saints are in cap hell right now, and I think drafting a quarterback for Drew Brees to mentor for 1 year is the best way to go about it.
They just dropped all their tight ends. Why not take Pat Freiermuth, a very underrated tight end we talked about on this show?
I love Pat Freiermuth, and unfortunately, I'm not taking him at all in the first round, as much as I'd love to. Instead, I'm actually going to make them take a safety, someone who they could really use right now, and Trevin Moog, who I think is out of TCU, is an absolutely great prospect, as you mentioned earlier.
At 29, this is the Green Bay Packers pick. I have them going wide receiver and nothing else, and that's Kadarius Toney out of Florida.
Yep. If they don't take a wide receiver, I would be okay if Aaron Rodgers had some sort of a media outburst and got upset. But I would be sad if he didn't play. Rondale Moore.
Woo.
Rondale Moore.
Now, I like the idea of going wide receiver. I just think that it'd be even better for them to go free agency route, get a veteran player in there. I mean, come on, they want to go to the Pro Bowl this year, then they want to get a veteran guy, someone in the position group. Instead, I think they go defense with their draft pick and pick Nick Bolton, a linebacker out of Missouri.
Mm-hmm. At number 30, I have Buffalo. This is the Buffalo Bills pick. I have them going with Jalen Mayfield, tackle out of Michigan. He is shown to be really good, fast on his feet, big, kind of like Trent Williams, and they need to beef up the right side of that offensive line.
If they're in the first round, I know that Zach Moss was picked by them last draft, but Travis Etienne is too good to pass up. Go for it. Running back.
I think for the Bills, I think they're going to continue to bolster that front line on the defense. I think they're going to take an edge rusher and take Joseph Osai.
At 31, this is the Kansas City Chiefs pick. I have them going with Wyatt Davis, guard out of Ohio State.
Solid choice. You have to take offensive tackle in one way or another. So Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama, just offensive tackle. Just do it. Just do it.
We were all saying the same thing after watching that Super Bowl, I think, because I also took Wyatt Davis in the sense of if Patrick Mahomes is getting, as swamped as he is, you got to get guys to protect him.
And at pick 32, this is the Tampa Bay Bucks pick, the Super Bowl winners. I have them going with edge rusher Azeez Ojulari. They need someone to replace Shaq Barrett, who I think is going to go into free agency, and this is the best guy at the time.
Absolutely. I think he's a fantastic edge rusher. However, I have them going with Jason Owa.
Well, I think this is a bit of a, obscure pick in the sense that I don't know if they'd actually do this. I just feel like it fits tradition so well. You got to go with pick 32, pick a random running back. That's where we're going. Travis Etienne, who's a great prospect out of Clemson. And I think at this point, he's fallen so far. The Buccaneers already have that Super Bowl team. Why not bolster with a running back just like the Chiefs did the year before?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we did it.
All right, yeah, that's the 2021 NFL Draft mock edition from the PatsCast, or not mock edition, just a mock draft. But yeah, we wanted to do something a little special this episode and not just focus on the Patriots, but focus on the entire league, and give our predictions to what teams are going to pick at their given positions in the first round. So Yeah, that's that. We'll see you guys next episode, and yeah, see ya.